I'm sitting here on my porch, and I can see 90 years of life stretching behind me like a long road with many turns. I've seen economic crashes that made people lose everything. I've watched good people struggle when the job they depended on suddenly disappeared. And I've learned something that most people in this modern world have completely forgotten. When everything crumbles around you, when the paycheck stops coming and the fear sets in, there's a simple truth that can save your life. There are 4 plants, just 4, that I'm about to share with you. And if you know these 4, you'll never truly starve. You'll never feel completely powerless. And perhaps most importantly, you'll sleep better at night, knowing that no matter what happens tomorrow, you have the knowledge that your grandmother and your great-grandmother used to survive not days or months, but entire lifetimes. Let me take you back to 1952. I was just a young man then, working in a factory, making decent money, or so I thought. The world felt stable. I had a job, a paycheck, and I believed that would be enough. But then came the layoffs. Suddenly, without warning, thousands of us were let go. I remember the shock of that first week without work. The fear was real, not just for me, but I could see it in my wife's eyes. She was carrying our first child. We had rent to pay. We had mouths to feed. That's when my mother came to stay with us, and she taught me something that changed everything. She walked into our small city apartment, looked at our empty refrigerator, and instead of panicking, she showed me something incredible. In a corner of our tiny balcony, she planted 4 things, 4 simple plants that she had grown for her entire life. The first plant she planted was humble. We called it the miracle plant, though most people know it as Moringa. Now I want you to understand something. When you lose your job, the stress is real, but what kills you faster is malnutrition. When you're struggling financially, it's easy to eat poorly because cheap food fills your stomach but doesn't truly nourish your body. Moringa is different. One small moringa plant can give you more nutrients in a handful of leaves than you'll find in 10 apples. It has protein, which is rare in plants. It has all the amino acids your body needs. It has iron, calcium, and vitamins your bones and blood desperately need. My mother would pick fresh moringa leaves and add them to every meal. A simple rice dish became nutrition-packed. Water became a gentle herbal tea that gave us energy when we felt weak from worry. She would dry the leaves in the sun and store them for months, so we had nutrition even in seasons when fresh food was scarce. I'm telling you, in those hard months, that moringa plant kept my wife healthy through her pregnancy. It kept me strong enough to keep searching for work, to keep my mind clear enough to think about solutions instead of drowning in despair. The second plant changed how I understood medicine. It's aloe vera, and this plant became like a family member in our home. You see, when money is tight, you can't afford doctors. You can't afford the expensive medicines for small cuts, burns, and infections. My mother taught me that aloe vera is nature's pharmacy. She would slice open the leaves and show me the clear gel inside. That gel, she said, could heal almost anything. A burn from cooking? Aloe vera. A cut that wouldn't close? Aloe vera. Skin that felt dry and cracked from stress? Aloe vera. But here's what most people don't know. Aloe vera also grows incredibly fast. 1 plant becomes 2, 2 becomes 4. Before long, you have more than you need, and you can share with neighbors. I learned that during those difficult times, when you help others with what little you have, something magical happens. You stop feeling like a victim of circumstance. You become someone who has something valuable to give. I remember giving aloe vera leaves to our neighbor, whose daughter had gotten sick with fever. Their family had no money for a doctor. We made a paste with aloe and a little honey we had saved, and that fever broke in 2 days. That neighbor never forgot that. Years later, when I finally found work again, that man remembered. He helped me get connected to someone who gave me an even better job. But more than that, I learned that abundance doesn't come from money alone. It comes from having something real to offer, something that truly helps people. The third plant I need to tell you about is something most people completely overlook. It's the simple moringa, but I'm talking about using it differently. Actually, let me correct myself. The third plant is spinach or any leafy green that grows quickly and abundantly. In our case, we grew amaranth, which my mother called the poor man's vegetable. This plant grows like a miracle. You plant 1 seed, and within weeks, you have a plant full of leaves. You can harvest leaves continuously and it keeps growing. The leaves are packed with iron and calcium and all the vitamins you need. But more importantly, this plant taught me the principle of abundance. When you grow something that multiplies, something that keeps giving even after you harvest it, you understand on a deep level that scarcity is often just a belief. My mother would harvest the amaranth, and we would eat well. But she never harvested everything. She always left enough for the plant to continue growing. She was teaching me wisdom without saying it directly. She was showing me that if you understand cycles, if you understand renewal, you can always have enough. The fourth plant, and perhaps the most important one, is basil or oregano or any herb that grows abundantly and has both nutritional and medicinal properties. In our case, it was basil. This plant seemed almost magical to me as a young man. One small basil plant in a pot could flavor an entire month of meals. It made simple, boring food taste like something special. But here's what I didn't understand until much later. During those months when everything felt grey and uncertain, when every day brought new worries, the smell of fresh basil, the taste of it in our meals, it gave us something we desperately needed. It gave us dignity. It gave us pleasure. When you're struggling, you can lose yourself in the struggle. You can forget that life is also meant to be enjoyed. My wife would smell that basil, and I would see her smile. In the middle of crisis, a simple green leaf could bring a moment of peace. Basil also grows incredibly fast, and it's nearly impossible to kill. That plant became a metaphor for resilience in our home. No matter what happened, that basil grew. It couldn't be stopped. It couldn't be defeated. Now, I want to be clear about something. I'm not telling you that these 4 plants will make you rich. They won't. But I'm telling you that they'll keep you alive, truly alive, not just breathing, but nourished and well. They'll keep you healthy. They'll keep your mind clear. And they'll teach you something that no amount of money can buy. They'll teach you self-sufficiency. They'll teach you that you have power even when the world says you don't. When I lost that job in 1952, it took me 3 months to find new work. 3 months is a long time. But because of what my mother taught me, those 3 months didn't destroy us. We didn't go hungry. We weren't sick. My wife carried our baby safely to birth. And I had time to actually think clearly, to explore options, to make a better choice about what kind of work I wanted to do. Most people don't realize this, but when you're desperate, when you're panicked, you make bad decisions. You take the first thing offered to you, even if it's wrong. But when you know you can survive, when you know you have these 4 plants giving you what you need, your mind becomes clear. You can think strategically. You can wait for the right opportunity. Over my 90 years, I've gone through many changes. The world transformed completely around me. We went from an agricultural society to an industrial one, and then to this digital world I barely understand. But one thing never changed. These 4 plants, they've been there. When my own children were born, I grew them. When my children had children, I taught them to grow these plants, not because they needed them for survival anymore, but because I wanted them to understand something deeper. I wanted them to know that true security doesn't come from a job. It doesn't come from a bank account. True security comes from knowledge. It comes from understanding how to take care of yourself and your family. I've had grandchildren tell me that growing these plants changed how they see the world. A granddaughter who was struggling with anxiety and depression started growing basil, and she said it gave her something to nurture, something that showed her that she could create life and growth. A grandson who felt lost after college used Moringa to begin thinking about starting a food business. He took his knowledge of this incredible plant and built a small company around it. The plants became more than survival. They became gateways to purpose. Let me tell you about a choice you need to make right now, today. Most people live in complete dependence. They depend on their job, their boss, their company, the economy. When that dependence breaks, they break. But if you plant these 4 plants, even in small pots in an apartment, even on a windowsill, you make a choice. You choose to be someone who can take care of themselves. You choose to understand that the earth still provides for those who know how to ask. You choose to be resilient. I want to share something personal with you. I'm 90 years old. My hands are not as steady as they once were. My back aches when I work in the garden. But every single morning I walk out to where I grow these 4 plants, and I check on them. I water them. I harvest from them. And I feel something that I imagine young people with good jobs and big salaries don't often feel. I feel free. I feel like I'm still in control of my own life. I feel like I'm still providing for myself. That's not a small thing at my age. That's everything. The job market will change. Companies will fail. Economies will shift. That's the nature of the world. But these 4 plants, Moringa, Aloe Vera, Amaranth or leafy greens, and basil or oregano, these have survived for thousands of years. They've kept people alive through famines and wars and economic collapse. They'll keep you alive too. But more than that, they'll keep you human. They'll keep you connected to something real and true. I'm going to be honest with you about something. When I was young and lost that job, I was terrified. I thought my life was over. I thought I had failed as a provider, as a man, as someone who could take care of his family. It took my mother's quiet wisdom, her simple demonstration of these 4 plants, to show me that failure was only a story I was telling myself. I wasn't a failure. I was just temporarily between jobs, and I had the knowledge to survive that transition. That's what I want to leave with you. Not fear, not a prepper's bunker mentality, but a calm understanding that you have options, you have knowledge, you have the ability to take care of yourself. And when you truly believe that, when you truly know it because you've grown these plants and eaten from them, everything changes. Your confidence changes. Your decisions change. Your future changes. I've spent 90 years watching people. I've seen the ones who survived hard times with grace, and I've seen the ones who were destroyed by the same circumstances. The difference wasn't always intelligence or talent. The difference was knowing that they had something. They had knowledge. They had skills. They had ways of taking care of themselves that didn't depend on someone else's permission or someone else's paycheck. So here's what I'm asking you to do. Plant one of these 4 plants this week. Just one. Start with whichever one speaks to you. Plant it, watch it grow, learn about it, taste it, use it. Feel what it's like to grow your own food, to make your own medicine, to create something with your own hands. And as you do that, something will shift inside you. You'll begin to understand, not just in your head but in your heart, that you're more capable than you thought. You're more resilient than you realized. You're not as dependent as you believed. I'm an old man now, and I don't have many years left. But I'll tell you what I want to leave behind. I want to leave the knowledge that these 4 plants can save a life. I want to leave the understanding that self-sufficiency isn't about being a doomsday prepper or distrusting society. It's about empowerment. It's about knowing that you have choices. It's about understanding that in your own hands, with very little resources, you can create life, you can create nourishment, you can create security. This knowledge is meant to be shared. It's meant to be passed down. It's meant to be lived. It's meant to change how you see yourself and your relationship with the world. These 4 plants, they're not just plants. They're bridges between the world we've lost and the world we're trying to build. They're reminders that we're connected to the earth, to cycles, to something greater than ourselves. As I sit here on my porch, watching the sun set the way it has for 90 years, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my mother who taught me. I'm grateful for the seasons that showed me how to work with nature instead of against it. I'm grateful for every person who's ever listened to the wisdom of plants and soil and seeds. And I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that you'll join this long line of people who understand that true wealth isn't measured in dollars. True wealth is measured in knowledge, in self-sufficiency, in the ability to care for yourself and those you love. The world might change tomorrow. Your job might disappear, everything might feel uncertain, but if you have these 4 plants, if you have this knowledge, if you have the understanding that you can grow your own food and make your own medicine, then you'll be okay. More than okay. You'll be free. I want to ask you something as we finish here. If this knowledge matters to you, if you feel even a small shift in how you see yourself and your future, will you do something for me? Will you subscribe to this channel? This channel exists to keep old wisdom alive, to share the knowledge that our grandparents had, to help you understand that you're more capable than you think. There are so many more stories to share, so much more knowledge that's being lost, and I want to make sure it reaches people who need to hear it. Subscribe to keep this old wisdom alive, and if you plant one of these 4 plants because of what I've shared today, I want to know. Write a comment. Tell me which one you chose and why. Let me know that this message reached someone who's ready to hear it. I'm 90 years old and I won't be here forever, but this knowledge will be. These 4 plants will be. The understanding that you're capable, that you're resilient, that you can take care of yourself, that will live on. That's the legacy I want to leave. That's the gift I want to give to your generation and the ones that come after. So take these 4 plants, grow them, learn from them, let them teach you that you're stronger than you know. And remember, whenever you feel afraid about your future, whenever you worry about what might happen if you lose your job, just think of these 4 plants. Think of what they can do. Think of what that means about you and what you're capable of. This is my wish for you as you leave here. May you be healthy. May you be strong. May you always know that you have the knowledge to survive and more than survive, to thrive. Thank you for listening to an old man's wisdom. It means the world to me.